welcome back to another episode of Fan Talk on this last day of March. March 31st. Can't believe it's almost April. It's still snowing here. It's still winter. Winter will never end. But you're here, you're listening to Fan Talk, so everything is okay. The weather does not matter. Your shortcomings do not matter. You're in a good place. Fan Talk, podcast by me, Kyle Brinchley. You can find it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Today, I have a special guest coming on. He'll come on a little later. As you know, baseball season has started, and so we're going to be talking baseball. He's a big baseball fan, and we'll get into that. But first, I want to kind of preview what's going to happen this weekend in sports, considering the fact that we're almost to April, and usually the 1st of April means, national championship for college basketball. March has been a crazy month for a variety of reasons, but this tournament, I think, has been probably the wackiest tournament maybe in the last couple years, at least, with upsets and with one seeds going down. There's actually not a single one seed in the Final Four, and that hasn't happened in years. So this is wild. So Final Four is here in Houston, and these are the 4 remaining teams, which I think less than 2% of all brackets had this Final Four selected. So we have 2 games that are going to be played tomorrow. These are the semifinals. Winners go to the championship. Here's the Final Four. Here's your 4 teams left. I guarantee none of you had these 4 teams, if any of these teams in the Final Four, maybe one, but let's see. So San Diego State out of the Mountain West, surprising everyone. I mean, I watched them throughout the season. Obviously, my school is a Mountain West school, and they're a physical team. They're a deep team. They're coached well. They're a good team. They're one of those teams that could make a run in March Madness, and they obviously have. Here they are in their first ever Final Four appearance. They're playing FAU. That stands for Florida Atlantic University. I looked it up. You know where Florida Atlantic is? It's in Boca Raton. It's a city about 30 miles north of Miami. So, I mean, I assume you go to FAU if you don't get into Miami, if you don't get into, Florida State. I don't think anyone says, I'm going to go to FAU when I grow up. But maybe they will, because they're in their first ever Final Four as a 9 seed. And then on the other side of the bracket, we have Miami, Florida, just 30 minutes down the road. The Hurricanes have, surprised everyone these last couple tournaments, making it to the Elite Eight, the last 3 tournaments, and now in their Final Four. They face a very good UConn team who I think has a chance to win it all. But we're down to 4, and this tournament's been wacky, so I believe every team has a chance to win it all. Personally, as a fan whose bracket is totally busted, I can get no more points in any of my brackets. They're all done. I didn't have any of these teams here in the Final Four. They're done. It's over with. I would like to see an FAU, Miami, Florida State bash down for the national championship. Miami, FAU, give me that. Give me 9 seed versus a 5 seed for the national championship. Regardless, the lowest possible seed, UConn at 4, that's the lowest seed that could win the championship this year. So kind of a wacky year. No 1 seeds, no 2 seeds, no 3 seeds. You look at last year's Final Four, you had North Carolina, Duke, Villanova, and Kansas. The powerhouses of college basketball in the last couple of years. Villanova, North Carolina didn't even make the tournament this year. Kansas got knocked out by Arkansas. And Duke got knocked out by Tennessee. So these teams, none of them made it past the round of 32. And now you have teams in San Diego State, FAU, who have never been to the Final Four in program history. You got teams like Miami, who are a 5 seed, probably a little high, who are knocking on the door. And you got a UConn team who's very good. And maybe a lot of people overlooked them because they were a 4 seed. So, that's a whole nother conversation about seeding and how that works. Ultimately, your seed, while it does matter, it does determine who you will play, it doesn't determine your destiny necessarily. As we see here, it's more about heart. It's more about grit. It's more about wanting it and proving to others that you deserve it. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Obviously, you guys didn't pick this. You picked, probably a Kansas or Purdue or Arizona to win it all. And look where we are: Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn. I say go Miami. I say go FAU. We'll see what happens. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. The San Diego State FAU game is tomorrow at 4:09 Mountain Standard Time on CBS, and Miami UConn is at 6:49 tomorrow on CBS as well. And then the national championship will be on Monday. So we'll keep an eye on that, and it should be a very, very fun end to a crazy, crazy March Madness. We're live. We're back here, and as you can see, I got a special guest, Mr. Daniel Thompson, who, for the true fans out there, would recognize him from this dating advice episode that I did like 2 years ago, where Daniel came on and shared some awesome, heartfelt stories from his past, and yeah, it was a good time. He's back. We're here to talk baseball now. We'll save love stories for another day. But I guess you could say you are in love with baseball in a way, Daniel.
Yeah, baseball, it really is my only true love. In terms of sports talk, I'd be absolutely useless on any episode that wasn't baseball related. But I was really happy to get your text asking me to be on it because I was really hoping I would be your baseball expert.
Well, yeah, definitely. I've had so my brother came on because he was kind of like the World Cup expert. He knew more about the players than I did, and I brought my other friend. He knew basketball, so naturally. I mean, I like baseball, but I don't think I can, cover and talk about baseball as well as other people, and definitely as well as you. Obviously, you're a big Astros fan, and you probably know everything under the sun that there is to know about the Astros and the league. And yeah, so we're gonna talk baseball. Baseball season started. Opening day was yesterday. It was real fun. I was watching the Pirates game during some of my classes, just on MLB TV, the little app there. So yeah, it's fun. Let's jump right in. Initial thoughts, opening day 2023.
All right, so there were, I don't know if you heard about it, but there were some big changes that are going on in MLB this season. Mainly three things, and those three things, one of them's kind of small that viewers might not notice, but definitely the players will, and then two huge things. And so I'll just start with the small thing, and that is that they made the bases bigger. And they did that for a couple of reasons. First of all, player safety, just so that there's less collision on bases in terms of players running down the first baseline and maybe hitting the first baseman. They give them a little bit more of a breathing room there. But also, it's to increase stolen base numbers, which I don't know if you've noticed, but I've definitely noticed in the spring training games, and even just yesterday, just how many more stolen bases there are. And I don't know if it's actually like a huge difference maker or if players are just like, let's see how easy it really is with these new bases. But stolen bases are going to go up, which is really exciting. But now the big changes, and I'll start with they're banning the shift. And if you guys don't know what the shift is, it's what they've been doing to left-handed batters the last bunch of years, where they'll put three infielders on the right side of the infield and only have one infielder on the left side of second base, and basically have the second baseman playing a short right field just so that he can get it and throw out the batter really easily. And they're saying that from now on, you can only have your infielders, two infielders on the left side of second base and two infielders on the right side of second base. So theoretically, that should really increase base hits for left-handed hitters, especially. There were some in spring training. We saw it once where Joey Gallo was up to bat, who's a left-handed power hitter, who is the most shifted on player in baseball, where a spring training team tested it out by actually moving their left fielder and having him play a short right field and just having nobody in left field. And so maybe we'll see that down the line, but probably not. But the big difference that everybody's talking about that's going to make the biggest difference in baseball is the pitch clock. And so I don't know if you've heard what people complain about baseball, but I think a lot of people say that the game is just too long and too boring. I would disagree because obviously baseball is my favorite sport and I love it. But they're trying to fix that by implementing the pitch clock, which is the pitcher gets 15 seconds in between each pitch to get his windup going and to start the next pitch. And it has increased, like, these games are much faster now. It's ridiculous how fast these games go by. The spring training games were getting done in as low as 2 hours up to like 2.5 hours instead of what would normally be 3 hours to 3.5 hours. So I don't know how much that's going to change viewership, if that's actually going to be enough to draw in new fans. But and I don't even know if I'm on board with it yet, but it's definitely like a huge change. It feels like 15 seconds is too fast. I would have liked that pitch clock just to be a little bit faster because it feels like the games are kind of rushed. And I like watching baseball. I don't like that the games are getting done so fast because I want to sit down and watch it for even longer. But what are your thoughts on any of these rule changes?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd obviously kind of heard when they first initially were saying, oh, we might implement these, and just kind of followed along with that discussion. Like as you said, like the bases, I can't visibly notice a difference like when I'm watching the game. But
Nobody can.
Yeah, I know. It's like you can't even tell. Like if nobody said it, like if the MLB didn't come out and say anything, nobody would have even noticed. But I think the biggest thing was when I was watching the game. I watched a couple games because I was just kind of flipping through just to see, what was going on. And every single broadcast team, the announcers were talking about these rule changes. So it kind of got, pounded into my head. But they were mostly talking about the pitch clock, which is interesting because not only does the pitcher have a pitch or have a time restraint, but the batter also has to be in the box with 8 seconds to go. So it's like it pretty much just prevents like standing around. I know a lot of the times, pitchers and the catchers are communicating and trying to get the right pitch, and the suspense is just killing people. Like they're just sitting there, and the batter's just waiting for it. He's like, "What pitch are they going to give me?" But yeah, I definitely feel like there was a few rushed pitches. There was actually a few in the Pirates game where there was like a violation. So when they don't get the pitch off in time, then it becomes a ball for the batter. And so it's interesting to see like the pitcher and the catcher try to like get on the same page as soon as possible. And it probably leaves room for less changing of the pitch because they only have so much time. So it's like, yeah, maybe come prepared with what pitch you're going to throw and maybe have a backup. Whereas before, maybe you had a couple backups if you wanted to switch up the pitch call or whatever. But I do think it is interesting if they're trying to cater to the casual sports fan or as opposed to the avid baseball fan, because I think avid baseball fans like you probably prefer the old ways or the ways that they had traditionally done it. Whereas maybe a casual sports fan who doesn't appreciate the game as much would be like, yeah, we want it shorter because that's just the world we live in, right? We want things quick. We want things now. So it is kind of interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, we've just seen it, in spring training and in this one game. We'll see how the season goes. I do think the switch, not the switch. Is that what it's called when you?
Oh, the shift.
The shift. The shift. Sorry, I was getting my words
Close.
mixed up there. Yeah, close. The shift that will be interesting to see because I remember watching, especially in like postseason baseball, they would like show a wide view of the field and there would be like no one on that left side of the field when there was a lefty batter. They'd like all be shifted,
Yeah.
and it was I don't know. We'll see how it plays out throughout the season, but I mean we've kind of seen this trend in other sports too. Like with the NFL, they make different rule changes and the game kind of evolves. So we'll see how it impacts that. Um, but it should be fun. I think regardless, it'll be a fun baseball season. I'm excited. Obviously, we have 161 more games to go. It's going to be a long season, right? It's still
Yeah.
March. We all summer long. So I want to now talk. Obviously, you're an Astros fan, and the Astros have kind of been, league favorites for many many years now,
Yeah.
and even this year they're up there. So kind of give me, what your expectations and thoughts are for the Astros in this upcoming season.
Well, I can give my thoughts on more teams just than the Astros. I'm a huge baseball fan, but I will say the AL West, which is the division that the Astros play in, and they got a lot better. All of the teams made tons of moves in that division. With that being said, the Astros are still the clear like heavy favorites. Everyone thinks that it's like kind of like a World Series or bust year. They lost the Cy Young winner last year, Justin Verlander. He's on the Mets now, but the Astros rotation is just so deep that they've just got the next guy ready and up, and he's gonna he's they're all. It's just so deep, the Astros lineup. The World Baseball Classic just happened. It went on for 2 weeks. Altuve, who's like the face of the franchise, um, Daniel Bard, who was the pitcher for Team America, actually hit Altuve in the hands and broke his thumb, so he's going to be out for 2 months, which was really unfortunate. I watched that game live. I was really upset. Daniel Bard better hope not to bump into me in an alleyway anytime soon. Uh, I think, yeah, I think the Astros are going to win the division, but gosh, I mean, the Mariners, they're probably going to make the postseason. Everyone has high expectations for the Mariners. Julio Rodriguez is obviously a stud. People are already saying that he's like a top 10 player, even though he won Rookie of the Year last year. Uh, the Angels, I always think that the Angels are going to do bad, but you can never sleep on the fact that they have the legitimately the best two players in all of baseball on their team. But that's kind of always the joke with the Angels, is that they're just wasting all the talent that they get because they can't build a team around them. The Rangers have been a laughing stock for quite a while, but they want to put that narrative to rest because last year they spent like an actual $500 million on their middle infield on Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon, and now they're trying to strengthen the rotation because they got Jacob DeGrom to pitch for them this year, as well as just a bunch of other guys who are going to help that rotation out. I still don't think it's enough for the Rangers to even maybe get third place in the division. They'll still probably get fourth. And then the Oakland they've just got nothing going on for them. They're tanking all the way.
Yeah, I was just looking at the division as well, and obviously there was a lot of moves here in the postseason. Um, A's actually, beat the Angels last night, so that just kind of goes to show the Angels. Yeah, they got those two really good players in Trout and Otani, but yeah, they're in a tough division. Obviously, the Mariners made the postseason last year for the first time in a lot of years. But yeah, I think this is the Astros division to hold and to ultimately to lose, right? Like
Well, yeah,
this is their division to keep, and they'll have some challenges along the way, but
yeah.
hopefully
The
Altuve can get back in the lineup here in a couple
Yeah,
months.
the Astros always have a shaky start to the year and then finish really strong. We'll see how well they'll do without Altuve, without Brantley, without Verlander. But um, I wanted to talk about the Angels some more because it's going to be the biggest story in baseball that it's Otani's free agency year.
Hmm.
He's going to probably get $500 million in his contract, whatever he signs with. But what everyone is hoping for is that the Angels just have another really terrible season, and by the trade deadline, actually trade Otani away to another team, and we might get to see Otani in the postseason. That's what everyone is hoping for.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, he was incredible um, in the baseball classic, World Baseball Classic. Obviously, Team Japan, beat Team USA for the win. And he's just, yeah, a really good player. Like, we haven't seen a player like him who can pitch and who also can hit, home runs and a lot of hits during the season for a long time. So,
Never.
yeah, I mean, that's a story to keep an eye on. And like, if the Angels are struggling by mid season and they're not looking to get into the postseason, I definitely agree with you. I definitely think that a trade could happen. And if it does not, then I definitely think he leaves in free agency if the Angels don't have a good year.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He said many times how badly he wants to be in the postseason. And honestly, Trout is going to want to be in the postseason now. He just said it because of the World Baseball Classic, how America went to the finals against Japan. And actually, if you saw it, the very last out of the finals was Otani pitching against Trout, and he struck him out. It was probably the most anticipated matchup of the whole World Baseball Classic, and it was just a storybook ending how they actually faced each other as the final out. But the environment was absolutely electric, and Trout said that he's never experienced that before, and now he wants more.
He's had a taste.
Yeah.
Now he wants to feast. So I guess that begs the question. We can go down this path just briefly. What are some landing spots for these two superstars if the Angels sputter again? Where would you like to see them be playing?
Well, Trout's locked up, right? He's not going to leave Anaheim. He's got still a bunch of years left on his contract, and there's no way, literally zero chance that the Angels trade him away. But Otani, a lot of people think that the Dodgers are a huge landing spot for them. The Dodgers usually have a huge offseason where they just get a bunch of really talented free agents. And this offseason was really boring for the Dodgers. And a lot of people think because they're saving up their bank to try and land an Otani. Some other obvious spots are just the big free agency teams. The Yankees are obviously always in on huge superstars like that. Padres have been in a lot of talks as well if he wants to stay on the West Coast. And because they've been spending money like mad, they just spent like $300 million on Xander Bogaerts for almost no reason. I don't think they should have given him that much money. But what are some other spots? Probably the New York Mets, just because they have the richest owner in baseball. And he said many times he doesn't care how much above the salary tax he has to go. So those are all probably potential places that Shohei Ohtani can land. If he goes to a team other than the ones I've listed, I'd be very surprised. Like the Astros, they don't give big contracts out to players. He's not going to go to the Astros. Although that would be so cool.
Yeah, he goes to the Astros. I think it's pretty much game over there, at least in the American League.
Yeah. As a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, that they don't sign anyone.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, Carlos Santana, like
yeah.
That's like the biggest name we signed, and he's never. Yeah, we got Kutch back. That's true. Kutch coming back to probably finish his MLB run here. Yeah, no, I think that definitely opens up an interesting can of worms with kind of the teams that are in power and the teams that make big moves year to year. And those are the teams that are in contention every year, like you never hear, like you mentioned, the Pirates making any big moves, or the Kansas City Royals, Arizona Diamondbacks. These teams that are just pretty much irrelevant, at least when it comes to postseason baseball. I mean, they're there to play and to have people come to the games and different things like that. But I think it's very interesting. Year to year, you kind of know who to expect to kind of see in the postseason. Year to year, you're like, the Astros are going to be there, the Dodgers are going to be there, the Yankees are going to be there, the Mets have come on, in the last couple of years, and so you just have these teams that kind of get ahead and know how to stay ahead. So that kind of moves me to my next point. Let's do this right now at the very beginning of the season. We're only one game in, so we can't be too biased or whatever. Everybody's either 0-1 or 1-0. Who is your pick for World Series 2023?
All right, well, I'd be a horrible fan if I didn't pick my own Astros. So, and plus, they're like the most favorited team right now. So obviously, I'm picking the Astros. The real question is who from the National League would play against them. And I was actually thinking about that recently. Like, who do I think the best team in the National League is? And I actually think it's the Braves. And they've just got a bunch of absolute killers on that team. They got a little bit of bad news yesterday as their starting pitcher, I think Kyle Wright was pitching, got taken out of the game with like a hamstring injury. So they're still waiting on news on that one to see how bad the injury is. But yeah, that Braves lineup, they've just got a bunch of really young talent that they've got locked up for years and years, like 7-year contracts, all of them. So that Braves team also isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, that's definitely a team I failed to mention there.
I saw on Twitter you said that you thought the Mets were gonna make it all the way.
Yeah, so I honestly, no offense to you, but I would love to see another team other than the Dodgers and the Astros, be in the World Series and win a World Series. So I was just like, how about the New York Mets? They, they'll be up there. They'll definitely have a shot to compete. But it was just kind of my random guess there before the season got into it.
I think
we'll see.
They just got some terrible news also from the World Baseball Classic. Their star closer, who they just signed $1 million contract to, Edwin Diaz, he's out for the year, which is just horrible, honestly. Like, I don't even care about the Mets at all, and I was heartbroken to hear because if you've seen it all, his like walk-on, walk-on music that he has with the trumpets, people go crazy for it. As far as I'm aware, it's like the only closer like that they show him walking onto the field just because of how crazy the crowd gets and how they into the music they get. And they even brought the guy Timmy Trumpet once in last season to perform live in concert as he was coming into a game. And I think that's like a crazy direction that baseball can head into if they start getting live performances for when their closer comes into the game.
Yeah, no, I loved just watching. I never watched it live, but just watching videos afterward. Yeah, and Tommy Trumpet. It was so epic. But yeah, I think that'd be cool. I know in like a lot of high school baseball games, they do like walk-up music when like the batter's walking to the plate. They have like their own personalized song. Obviously, that might be a little hard to implement in major leagues, but yeah, definitely something with. They do that.
Yeah, for the home teams, whenever their guys walk up, they have the walk-in music, like the walk-up music that they get to choose.
Oh, okay. I must have not noticed that on the games I've been to, but yeah, I think that'd be really awesome to have live performances mid-game to get the crowd pumped up, especially postseason. I mean, postseason people are always pumped up, but just baseball is a lot about atmosphere, like that really contributes to it. And It'd really make the game just so much more memorable and impressionable. All right, so we'll see. We'll see. Astros, Mets, maybe World Series.
As long as, I mean, the Astros are definitely going to be in the ALCS. You know, if they make it
Yeah.
to the World Series or not, that's up to debate. But they'll be in the ALCS. They've been there the last 6 years, so
They've proven themselves, and
that
that goes a
they've
long way in
definitely
baseball.
shown that though the American League runs through Houston.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, just looking through,
And that they
standings
and
here.
that the Yankees can't get to the World Series until the Astros don't make it.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, my brother doesn't get too irked by that. He's a big Yankees fan, and yeah, the Astros have kind of had their number in the last few years.
Yeah, they're 0-4 in the postseason against them.
Maybe this is the year. We
No,
will see.
I honestly don't think that. I think the Yankees are terrible this year. I don't think that they're gonna win their division. Terrible might be a bad word for it, but like their rotation right now is super injured. And we saw in the second half last year that the Yankees just like fell off completely because their offense died, other than Aaron Judge, who obviously hit all those home runs and broke the American League single season record. Um, so unless Trout like has another crazy year like that again, which all signs point to no, that's not possible. um, then he was a one man offense for them in the second half last year. So, and with their rotation like all being injured at the same time, I think the Yankees like are definitely like not favored because they're also in the hardest division in baseball. We were just talking about how good the AL West is. The AL East is like way better. The Red Sox are probably the worst team in that division, and they've always got something cooking for them. I think the Orioles are way slept on. That team is awesome to watch. They've got a ton of young talent on that team. The Rays they deal with black magic over in Tampa Bay. They've never got a good team. They never spend any money on their team, but they're always floating around 90 wins and make the playoffs. And let's see, which team did I leave out? The Blue Jays.
Blue Jays.
They're probably like the favorites to like win. A lot of people expect them to win the division this year just because of how much superstar like talent they have on that team. So yeah,
Yeah.
I hate the Yankees. That's also why I'm saying this. They're my least favorite team.
Yeah, definitely a very good division there in the AL East. Definitely a little skewed compared to maybe the AL Central, but some good teams, some good baseball ahead of us. I'm excited because I think I'm going to make a commitment to try to watch more baseball this season. It sometimes gets hard, especially when you're like getting into like June and July to like sit down and just watch, especially when the team plays, like 5 out of the 7 days during a week. It's hard to sit down and watch a game every single day. So I probably won't still watch all 162, but I'll definitely try to make a commitment to maybe watch a few more.
I can understand why people don't like baseball, right? Like, I never say like, what? That's stupid. How could you not like baseball? Like, I get it. The games are long. I mean, they'll be shorter now. But the biggest thing is that there's just 162 games, right? That's just and lately all sports have really been trending like this, not just baseball, but where just there's just these teams that are just like stacked, and then there's teams that just don't even try. And baseball is splitting that gap even more. There's no teams that just like float around 500. It's just like you have your teams that are tanking and you have your teams that are trying to win. And there's just not a lot of teams that float there in the middle of the trying to be good. Like, so you can almost like, and plus they give so much postseason, like they give 6 wild card spots now. Like, so many teams make the postseason now, so just you kind of almost know who's going to make it before the season even starts. And by the end of the season, there's only like 2 teams that are even competing for a spot with like 20 games left to play. So I can understand why some of these games, like people don't want to watch baseball. Like if they want to get more people to watch baseball, like it's not going to happen, but they should like lower the games that get played in a season. Not to 60 though. That was awful when they did that in 2020.
Yeah. No, too short. Definitely a balance to be had there.
Yeah, Kyle, I think we lost you on audio there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hit that pulling a classroom Zoom, moment there. But yeah, it should be a fun season. I'm excited. The postseason will be here in no time, but summer's hopefully coming. I mentioned on the beginning of the show it's still cold and snowy here.
I hate it.
So I mean, baseball's always kind of been that signal that warmer weather is on its way. So hopefully that's coming. I'm trying to manifest warm weather vibes with this Hawaiian shirt that I'm wearing when it's snowing outside.
Baseball is also the sign that my grades are about to start falling. So I need to.
Yeah. It's a good thing in college. We end early. Like pretty much once April's over, you're done. But yeah, it should be fun. Any last thoughts, Daniel, before we close? I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your baseball knowledge.
Final thoughts, Kyle Tucker MVP season, Christian Javier Cy Youngest season, Hunter Brown Rookie of the Year. Those are all Astros, if it wasn't obvious. And that's probably all I've got for predictions.
All right, there you go. I'll have to have you come on maybe towards the end of the season to see how your predictions hold up. And to see if they can hold water.
Yeah, well, I hope they do. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate your time, and thank you for all watching this Fan Talk. As always, you can find it on Spotify. That's usually where I put it. It's also on YouTube. That's why I film it. I like filming podcasts just so you can see our cute smiling faces and you can see how big of an Astros fan that Daniel is, and you can see that Pirates fans do exist. There are Pirates fans out there. We're
O'Neal Cruz.
Myths. O'Neal Cruz, man. He is a good player. But again, thank you guys so much. Go Pirates.
Go Pirates.